Welcome back, fifth graders. I'm really excited to teach you this week because we are not going to be doing the same thing every single day. It's going to be really important that you tune in every day so that you can get the updates on the lessons because each day you'll be building on your knowledge from before. This week's topic is probably the only one we'll be learning where you haven't already learned it in completion in fifth grade. We've started to talk about point of view at various points throughout the year, but we hadn't yet gotten to the real chunk of that unit, and so that's what we're going to be doing this week. And the standard that we are covering this week is describing how a narrator's or a speaker's point of view influences how events are described. And we're focusing on fiction. Next week, you'll be doing nonfiction. Today, our main focus is reviewing what you learned about point of view, hopefully last year. We'll be talking about first, second, and third person. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to say, I can differentiate between first, second, and third person in a fictional text. We are going to start out with this video just as a little introduction. I want you to listen to these sportscasters as they talk about the football game because they will be using point of view to discuss what's happening.
Well, it doesn't get more exciting than that, folks. A long touchdown pass on the last play of the game gives Mid-Size U a shocking win over Massive State in this year's championship game. Hello again, everybody. Seth Stevens here with Emilio De Santis for the post-game show. And what a game it was. Emilio, let's take a look at that last play again.
Sure thing, Seth. There's only 1 second left. And notice how Mid-Size U's receiver just speeds past Massive State's defender, Louis Lester.
Ready to predict tomorrow's headline, Emilio?
I sure am, Seth. How about miraculous touchdown pass caps amazing comeback?
Just a minute, Emilio. The producer is telling me that Louis Lester was wearing one of our first-person cameras on his helmet. We should be able to see that final play from his point of view. Let's take a look.
Yeah! One last play and we're the champs! Hey! My shoe's untied! Hey, ref! Time out! What? Oh, no!
Well, that explains how the receiver got past him so easily, Emilio.
It sure does. Maybe the headline should be, Shoelace causes chaotic collapse for Massive State.
It just goes to show how much the point of view influences how events are described.
You're absolutely right, Seth. From our third-person perspective up here, we were able to take in all the action at once. But at the same time, we missed something really specific to Lester because we weren't inside his head.
Definitely not. It sounded like he tried to call a timeout when he noticed his shoe was untied.
I wonder why the ref didn't hear him.
Well, now, I'm told the ref was also wearing one of our first-person cameras. Let's check out how he saw the game's final play.
Oh, one more play? Oh, man, I am so hungry. I can't believe I skipped lunch today. What was I thinking?
Hot dogs here! Hot dogs!
Hot dogs? Oh, man, I could totally go for one of those with mustard and relish and... Hey, ref! Time out! Hey! What? Oh, no! Well, okay. Touchdown!
Wow! I would not have guessed that was coming. Emilio, a headline?
How about hungry ref hears hot dog, misses timeout call as Mid-Size U completes miraculous pass.
That's going to take up the whole front page, Emilio.
I know it, Seth, but as you can see, how you tell the story of this game depends a lot on the point of view you're telling it from.
True words from my colleague, Emilio. We'll be back after this.
And before we move into the rest of the lesson, we are going to cover some vocabulary words that it will be important that you know. First of all, the narrator is the person who is telling the story. The characters are who the story is about. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's animals, sometimes it's even objects. And so point of view is the narrator's position in the story. It's kind of their relationship to the story. It can be broken down into some categories, and we're going to cover 3 of them today, and one of them has some subcategories of its own that we'll get into tomorrow. And so the ones that we'll cover today are first person, second person, and third person. And then as you can see, third person is the one with some different types that we'll discuss later. So we'll start with first person. First person is when the narrator is one of the characters in the story. So as you can see in this picture here, we've got a story with multiple characters, and this one we'll say is the narrator. They're the one doing the explaining. The narrator tells the story using the words I, me, my, we, us, or our, because they are one of the characters. For example, my class is learning from home right now. Our teacher still instructs us online, but we won't get to see each other in person for a while. I miss everyone. That was in first person. The person telling the story is talking about themselves as well. And first person really helps us understand the narrator or the character's thoughts and feelings. So it can be used if an author really wants us to connect strongly with the main character. They might make that main character the narrator. The story would be told in first person. Second person is when the narrator is speaking directly to the reader. And so the narrator might actually be telling what the reader's thoughts and feelings are. So if you look in the picture here, the book is saying you, and the reader says me. So second person talks about the reader. It tells the story using the words you and your, or maybe y'all if you're in the South. For example, you are lucky to have a teacher who loves you so much. Your teacher is doing everything they can to help you succeed. And this is second person is used a lot for instructions or directions because it's telling you what you need to do. Third person is when the narrator is outside of the story. It talks about other people or other characters. The narrator is not one of the characters, and they're also not talking directly to you and addressing you. Third person tells the story using names and using the words he, she, they, or other third person pronouns. For example, Sunshine used to always complain about going to school, but now she can't wait until schools reopen. Her friends and teachers will all be there. She has missed them so much. This is not true. Sunshine does not complain about school, at least that I know of. But this was me talking about someone else. I was not talking about myself. Instead of saying, I will be there, I said, her teachers will be there. I was talking about people other than myself. I was not one of the characters. And I was also not talking directly to you. I didn't make you a character by saying, she misses you. And third person sometimes helps the reader learn the thoughts and the feelings of multiple characters. So it can be beneficial if the author wants you to understand what many characters are thinking and feeling. And that's something that we'll talk more about tomorrow. But you need to be careful, because sometimes in a story there's dialogue. And when there's dialogue, you can't look at the words that the characters are saying to each other to find the point of view. You need to look at the narration around it. So a little bit more vocab. Dialogue is when characters are speaking to each other. Narration is when the narrator is speaking, when the narrator is telling the story. So I have an example below. I was nervous to try out for the basketball team. My aunt said, you shouldn't worry, just do your best. In this passage, there is some narration and also some dialogue. Here we have narration, and here we have dialogue. So we need to figure out the point of view of this passage. but we need to navigate around the dialogue. Within the words that are highlighted pink here, I was nervous to try out for the basketball team. My aunt said, we have the clues I and my. And so that shows me that the point of view of that part is first person. But in the blue section, we have the clues you and your. And so that tells me that the point of view might be second person. But because the pink words here are the narration and the blue words are only the dialogue, the point of view is going to be first person because the pink words had the clues for first person. I was nervous to try out for the basketball team. My aunt said, I'm telling the story about myself, so it's going to be first person. The blue words are only what one character said to another character. It's not what the narrator is saying. So it doesn't give us a clue as to who the narrator might be, whether they're a character or someone else completely. The words say, you shouldn't worry, just do your best. But those words aren't being said to you. They're being said to the narrator from his aunt. So it's not second person. So to recap, we have first person, second person, and third person. First person uses words I, me, my, we, us, our. Second person uses you, your. Third person uses she, her, he, his, they, their, and other variations as well. And so under first person, we've got someone pointing to themselves there, talking about themselves. I didn't know how to draw it, but second person, someone would be pointing at you and talking about you. And third person, someone's pointing over there because they're talking about someone else. For the independent practice today, you are going to go to the Google form and use it to identify what the point of view is in different videos. I tried to make them fun for you, so I hope you enjoy them. Just so you know, the last video on there is optional because it's a little gruesome and graphic, but I thought it was really funny and I was hoping that you might think it's funny too. But if you do not like gory things or violent things, don't click that one. You don't have to. The other ones are required. The last video is optional. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and I hope you do your best on the independent practice and I will see you later. Bye.